Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome along to the Royal Link Up podcast. I am your host, the amazing Sniper Beef. We are on episode 22 today. You will see I am joined alongside my co host today, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi guys, Devastate here, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Hope you've all had a good time. I've had a great week streaming on Twitch. Still packing great players of favour. A couple of shorts that went out today, recording
I
this on
saw them.
Monday. So go and check them
Nice
out
little,
on the
nice
YouTube
little,
channel.
nice little Real Madrid player.
Yes, striker, French, La Liga, Real Madrid.
Win-win.
Yes. So thank you for joining us. Really excited for this episode. We are also joined by our two special guests, back again by popular demand. I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Vedak. I'm just getting over watching the worst movie of all time that was dragged to the cinema to watch by Masanevre. And talking of Masanevre,
Welcome, Masanevre here. Thanks for having me back once again.
And just touching on what Vedak mentioned there. So, Masanevre messaged a bunch of us and said, all right, I want to go and watch Megalopolis at the cinema. I watched the trailer and I was like, not a chance. It looks absolutely terrible, absolutely terrible. And then I get the message the other day. So I think when did you go? You went Wednesday night, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday night, and then we got the review back from them, basically saying Vedak was wanted to leave after the first half an hour, but he couldn't bring himself to walk out of a cinema, and Mas said it's possibly one of the worst films he's ever seen in his life. So yeah, don't go and watch Megalopolis.
I don't think it was one of the worst films I've ever seen. I will watch it again, but I'll have to watch it in sections. I don't think I could watch it all in one go.
5-minute intervals?
Well, whatever.
and on a lot of LSD, just so it makes sense.
Scene by scene. So.
Anyway, we digress away from gaming. So, cracking on with today's episode, we're going to switch up the format a little bit. So, at the top of the show, I'll give you a quick rundown of all the sort of news articles and what we're going to touch on, so that you guys know what we're going to be talking about in the episode. So, if you want to jump to a certain bit, you can jump forward and skip forward a bit. So, without any hesitation, let's crack on. So, we're going to touch on Halo franchise and then the direction that they're now moving in. We're going to look at Ubisoft's monetization director and what they recently said about the new Star Wars Outlaws game. We're going to talk with Mas about the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game coming out later in a couple of months' time. We're going to touch on the Nvidia CEO keynoting at CES early next year. We're going to look at Ubisoft and how they regularly review their buyout options. We'll look at Space Marine 2. We'll touch on that with Vedak as well. We'll also look at Flight Sim 2024 and its obscene requirements from a gaming PC perspective. So we are jam-packed today, and we'll kick off right at the top. Game very, very close to my heart. Halo and the Halo franchise. I'm probably one of the biggest Halo players of all time and the best Halo players of all time. Vedak's clearly about to start shaking his head and laughing because he doesn't get. He's just not an accomplished gamer like myself. I was obviously top 600 out of 2 million when I was playing Halo 2. But anyway, so Halo's, first of all, it's rebranding from 343 Industries to Halo Studios. That's probably a good thing. Obviously, I've known it right back from the very, very beginning when it was Bungie. And yeah, now it's Halo Studios. Doesn't really bother me. But more importantly, they're moving from a game perspective to developing everything on Unreal Engine 5, which, if you've seen any of the games recently being developed on Unreal Engine 5, it's going to look incredible. Me and Mas were looking at Star Atlas the other day, and we're looking at some early gameplay of that. And honestly, it looked absolutely incredible. So I dread to think how good Halo's going to look on UE5, whatever game they're going to be bringing out or whatever point that will be. Obviously, we don't know, but for me, super exciting. Love to get my kids into Halo because honestly, I've probably had some of the best gaming moments and times of my life playing Halo. The amount of time and effort I put into that game. Any comments from anyone else, Vedak? I feel like you want to jump in here.
No, it's all good. All good. All good. And,
Anything else from anyone else on Halo? Any opinions?
No, I mean, I think that ultimately, I see a world where everyone just sort of the big three dev engines for games, Unreal, Unity, EA are never going to move away from Frostbite because it's their own proprietary system. But I think we'll see more and more people, more and more games developers on these platforms, and because it's a massive cost saving for them. You don't need to spend as much time developing the platform to build your game. So, yeah, it makes sense in my opinion. But I would just comment as well. Is the last week I did see Unreal 5's upgrade with the new lighting system, and it looks incredible. That you can, I'll maybe stick a screen share of what they were showing in it, but it looks wild. It looks like a version 6 rather than like a 5.5.
Yeah, Mass.
4K game maybe as well. I mean, it looks stunning on the videos that I've seen. I wasn't much of a Halo player myself, but
It's
yeah,
just too fast for you, wasn't it?
yeah, it wasn't as fast paced as Unreal Tournament.
Yeah. Anyway, Vedak, moving on to a game very close to your heart and a company who you absolutely adore. Ubisoft's monetization director had a little bit to say about why Star Wars Outlaws has failed. Would you like to enlighten the listeners and the viewers as to what this person said? I presume, is it a guy or is it a girl?
it's a guy called Stevie who said, I rarely post on social media, but today I am sad, ashamed, sad. But effectively, he blames the gamers and their toxic fan base for Star Wars Outlaws and some of their other games.
I
And
mean,
and it exposes them as non-decent human beings.
I mean, that's just a great way just to engage with your very loyal fan base there, and then you're trying to get onto the game on a game that's failing, isn't it? Just to call them toxic and non-decent human beings. I mean, like,
As you know, I'm a huge, obviously, Star Wars fan, and this has happened quite a lot in the Star Wars community, where they turn out a series which is subpar, and that people go, well, that wasn't very good, and some people moan about it on social media, some people moan about it to their friends, but then you get called out for being racist or sexist because you didn't enjoy their content, and that's just not the case, because they have produced stuff that we really enjoyed. We did, I thought season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian was fantastic, and I really enjoyed Rainbow Six. It's probably, as we discussed earlier, it's probably the last good game they made.
2015, ladies and gentlemen, 2015 was the last good game that we think the Ubisoft actually made. Like there was obviously some Assassin's Creeds, which I don't think any of us are real massive fans of, which were probably mildly successful. But Rainbow Six, I mean, it's still played wildly, not wildly, but widely, even not wildly. It's still played widely, but I think we all agree, and we chatted about this before we jumped on to the podcast today, that that was probably the last good game they made, and that's 9 years. I mean, it's 10 years ago in 3 months. I mean, that's just absurd. Like, how can a company as big as Ubisoft, in theory, only make a good game every 10 years? And well, obviously, the likes of Rockstar with GTA, that's a different kettle of fish. But
Yeah, it takes long development. But yeah, I mean, I always I saw that somebody put on Reddit that he goes, I find it quite hilarious that the monetization director is calling other people non-decent human beings.
yeah,
uh,
because his job is basically just to make money
but
out of
out
thin
of
air.
anything,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, essentially, like, how can I make more money for the company? In what way, shape, or form? I know I'm going to absolutely batter the fan base and just call them basically a bunch of bellends, and that's gonna work a treat, isn't it? I mean, like I get that you're going to get to your point, Reddit. You're going to get people on Reddit and Discords, etc., flaming games. Every game you're going to get that, but to come out and openly say that about your fans is honestly like mind-boggling. That man,
Kennedy special. That's
that man is not going to be in his job very long, is he? He is going to be his marching orders. With the he's going to have the death march behind him, isn't he? Dud, 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 dud. We won't finish it there.
No. I think, I mean, everyone at Ubisoft should be disappointed in what they are producing. However, I'm sure that there are good devs there. There's good devs in every company, but if you're working to ridiculous timelines, to
bullied by publishers,
subpar, it's like I can't ever blame developers. When something like this happens, it's because it's either the idea is maybe fairly solid, but they go, right, we have to hit, right, this is a 2-year release cycle. Let's say 2 years or 3 years. And if they haven't committed to it by then, they've already committed that to board performance, and they would present to the board that this game's going to expect to get so much money, etc. So if it's a bad product or a good product, it still gets released.
No matter what.
No matter what, with ridiculous monetization methods. And ultimately, this happens in every business. But I think that there is no way around it. It's almost like you have to let the devs decide when something's ready for release and then blame the devs, because the devs will draw the short straw at the end of the day, because they'll get blamed for producing a poor game, but actually they probably were either rushed, under ridiculous deadlines, or what they envisioned wasn't achievable.
Yeah, as I said with Outlaws, I feel like they've gone backwards because you've got games out there that came out 15, 20 years ago that had a more superior, you know. So I mean, I go back to Star Wars Galaxies because I enjoyed it so much, but I mean, it was definitely flawed. It was, and that was bullied by LucasArts bullied the hell out of Sony Entertainment into releasing the product before it was open, you know, fully ready, and then they bullied him into changing it, and all the fan base left. So it's not perfect, but there were parts of that game that were far superior what they did back then compared to what they could do in a game now. Just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to understand how long that game was in development from before it almost had its version 1 release. Because it was a vastly complex and large, for the time, a really large game.
What, Galaxies?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think it's got to be a long, like, given the time when the time period and when it was released.
I think it was
you got to
years, you know.
Yeah, you got to feel it's years. It's not going to be anything that's going to be rushed, because there was a lot of depth and etc. to it, wasn't there? There was a lot.
Another year though, they wanted a whole year to get it ready.
Star Wars Galaxies is this? Sorry.
Yeah.
It was announced in March of 2000, but it wasn't released until June of 2003.
Oh wow! So probably 3 to 4 years then, realistically.
They wanted another year, the developers.
I mean, what was the biggest flaw? Because I didn't play. I don't think I might have played it once.
When it came out, all the stuff that was on the box, some of the stuff that was even on the box art wasn't even available in the game. So there was no mounts. So you had to walk places, and the maps were enormous. Yeah. Even on a bike, it would take 25 minutes to cross a map. But walking, it would take you hours.
Yeah, hours and hours. Yeah.
I mean, it might be controversial, but I think that maybe one of the things was related to having Jedi on the server and not having a sort of a finite amount of them, and perhaps maybe having servers that didn't have Jedi at all.
Well, that was the problem, because LucasArts bullied them into making Jedi a thing. They didn't want to have it. They were then forced into including it and making it as an unlockable. Then they said it was too hard, so you had to make it easier. So they made it easier. Then they said it was too hard, and there wasn't enough Jedi. So then they obviously did the combat upgrade, where it's not the combat upgrade, the new Galaxy experience, but then they changed it so everybody could be a Jedi, and suddenly there was.
Because even before that change, though, you'd come out into Theed or whichever starport, and you'd see loads of Jedi with their lightsabers out, but it didn't make any sense because the time period the Jedi was supposed to be, it would have been, pretty seldom that you would have seen one, but yet you were seeing them all the time with their lightsabers.
I suppose it's a never-ending sort of balancing act, isn't it? When you're launching a game, it's in an ideal world, you'd probably have the devs go, right, we think we need 3 years, for example, with a contingency of another year as a worst case scenario, and we think it will drive this. But in reality, you've got the publishers, you've got those higher up, board, etc., will be pushing other rhetoric and what's the word? Different avenues towards the devs, and it is very much a balancing act, isn't it? And then if you do get games which are released too early because of, should we say, downward pressure from above, it's not a good scenario, and it looks bad on the devs, but it just also looks bad on the entire company as a whole because they've released a piss poor game, i.e. Star Wars Outlaws. On the flip side, you've got Rockstar, who have spent a decade producing the next GTA, and the general feeling is it's going to be absolutely incredible. I think they've got a massive hype to live up to. I think they'll fulfill it, though. I mean, they've had enough time for it. They've got enough budget to do it. So there'll be enough devs, enough good devs, enough time. When it does come to fruition and it comes to launch, you hope it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing, and we're going to be like, okay, we need a 2-week link up to play it.
It's going to be interesting to see if they release the game and they release the role-playing aspect at the same time.
Yeah.
Or whether they'll just release the game and then a year later, like, the role-playing servers come out.
But the role playing was done by, wasn't done by them. It was done by the fan base, wasn't it?
Well, they're on their servers, as far as I'm aware.
There'd be a miss to miss it.
A miss to miss it.
Yeah, so I just bent it up.
Moving on, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Yeah, so Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is going to be released later this year, in December, both on Windows and Xbox, and then first quarter or second quarter for PlayStation 5. So it's going to be first person. There will be some third person aspect, they said, when it switches for certain moments of gameplay, which are action based and cutscenes as well. Trailer looks fantastic. It looks also, it's going to be based upon stealth, or you can engage your enemies in combat. There is puzzles as well, so there's maybe a connecting vein. Although it is first person, there's definitely a strong connecting vein from this to like an Uncharted game, which I'm a huge fan of, and the Tomb Raider series, which is probably maybe the origin of these types of games.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Game itself is set between Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade. So yeah,
Two fantastic films.
Yeah, it looks really promising. As I say, trailer looks good, but having said that, maybe the trailers for the last couple of Indiana Jones films looks good, but they were a bit they were a bit flat, weren't they? So
I might be. Is this a stupid question? But if it's going to be releasing on PS5 in you said the first quarter, Mass, yeah, is it going to be available on disc for the PS5 Pro, or is it going to be a digital only game? A genuine like is that me being stupid, or like would they actually release it on disc as well?
I would imagine that. I mean, there must be very few titles that they wouldn't release in a disc form. I can't believe it would be.
Because obviously, then you're gonna have to, on your PS5 Pro, Mass, you're gonna have to buy your disc drive for another 110 quid, aren't you?
just for that
I
one
do.
game.
I do wonder whether, like, because these games take up so much space now, that actually, like, having a disk drive, means you don't have to download the entirety of a game.
Yeah.
So you can actually, like for example, now you might have like 2 terabyte hard disk. That's probably only sort of 5 games
Oh
today.
yeah, yeah.
5 or 6 games.
I suppose to your point, Devastate. It's almost like if you got the game on disc, you might just have to do like a couple of updates,
Mm.
maybe a couple of gig to like updates that they've released since it's launched in hard format. Um, I can see the benefit of that, but then are you going to be able to sell that game when you finish it or not?
I have a question. Can you? I don't. I've never had a PlayStation 5. Can you upgrade the memory on it, like increase the storage space? Is that something?
So the only so you can
Does it avoid the warranty?
um I don't know if it voids the warranty. So it is a NVMe drive that you could add an additional. You could replace it. My worry is whether you can. I don't know whether you can add an additional drive or just the
There's
one,
actually
because
something
obviously
to
the
look at,
one
isn't
that comes with is going to have the operating system on.
Yeah, the OS on it. Yeah.
They should be doing that. They should be doing that standard. They should be thinking about the customer base and thinking, actually, we're making our games as primarily as a digital format. Don't you think we should give them the ability to be able to stick an extra piece of memory
Yeah,
around
but
it?
then you're moving into the realms of having upgradability across consoles, where it's I can never remember what the term is, but basically where you buy your PS5 Pro when it comes out in a month or so's time, and then a year you go, you know what, I want a better graphics card and I want a bit more RAM. Modular, that's the word, modular. So then it's almost coming when it's coming modular, where very very much like all of our PCs, where we go, right, you know what, I'm just going to upgrade the RAM. Instead of a 2 terabyte NVMe, I'm going to chuck in two 4 terabyte NVMe's because I've got loads of games and
Or
stuff I
you
want
make
to
it
play.
or you make it a bay that it's got a little thing you catch on this console. You can flip up and just slide it in, close it up, and then you've got your storage. So it's not really that super modular. It just
Oh
gives
yeah,
you
yeah,
the ability.
but then you could very much go down the modular route, couldn't you, from a console perspective? And then you can basically go, right. I mean, in my eyes, that would be a fantastic place to go. But then your difficulty comes on games, isn't it? Because if someone then, let's say they haven't got a clue what they're doing and they actually downgrade the machine instead of upgrading it, and they go, oh look, I bought an RTX 1650 and it's an incredible graphics card, and then it makes the games unplayable. So there is obviously that aspect to it. But I'd love it if consoles went down the modular route, because then you can then really start allowing console gamers to keep up with the graphics, etc., that us PC gamers have on a regular basis, and it's fun upgrading your PC as well. Masanevre needs to upgrade his PC next year for sure.
Just to interject, there's a spare NVMe
Port or slot.
port for additional storage.
So you could chuck a 4 terabyte on there, no problem then.
Yeah, so what's that? So we're talking 2 terabytes, £180.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder though, because the PlayStation and the Xbox take compatible like that direct storage routing, because the CPU and the storage is linked, depending on how the PCI bus runs to the second drive, you actually might find that performance is hindered a little bit on games that are stored on the second one.
What a first world problem to have.
True.
I think that moves us, Mass, Vedak, unless you've got anything else to say on that topic. That moves us quite nicely onto the next topic, which is the Nvidia CEO. So he's been announced as the keynote at CES early next year. At CES in Las Vegas early next year. An event I would love to go to. So if anyone wants to sponsor the Rolling Cup podcast to go and do a live podcast from CES, I will be more than happy to go to CES. It would be fantastic. I'd love to see. I shared with Masanevre the other day the 110-inch. What was the model? It was a 110-inch TV, and that's basically the standard now. And obviously, like stuff like that's going to be all over CES. And obviously, from an Nvidia perspective, you'd like to think that the 5000 series, given if he's going to be keynoting, is going to be showcased, mentioned, talked about in some shape or form within the keynote itself. So potentially we're what 2-3 months, well 3 months away because it's January, isn't it? It's usually like second week of January from memory. From finding out what the 5000 series is going to be. So yeah, that's quite exciting from my perspective. Any thoughts from anyone?
I mean, there was a bit of hope that we might have got the RTX announcement pre-Christmas, but now it just feels like this is all linked up. I mean, we theoretically we could still get it, and that announcement there could be other things. Because CES is consumer electronics show, doesn't just have to be. It could be all to do with their AI. There could be other things that they're hoping to announce, but I would think that.
Shocked.
If it feels that it's all linked.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, Devastate. I mean, there's you'd like to think that's probably going to be it. I can't see them announcing like the 5090 series and then go, oh look at CES, we're going to announce the 5080. I can't see that happening at all. It's going to be. I can just that for me, that's what's going to happen. Moving on to a little story that apparently Ubisoft regularly review their buyout options. So obviously, I mean, I'll quite happily buy them out for maybe £11.70, no more than that. Maybe £12 if I'm pushing it. They haven't really got any games that are new, that are any good. They've got a monetization director who's clearly a bit of a donut when it comes to PR. Who's going to be going, they want to buy Ubisoft? It's a great idea. Any thoughts from anyone?
No, I mean it's the only reason their share price spiked a little bit this week. They were down. I think we spoke about it on a podcast a couple of weeks ago of like how over the last 3 years it has basically lost 80% of its value. And so as with anything that in the stock market, if anyone's interested in buyouts, raise the stock price. Though, how much do you value Ubisoft at?
£12, no more.
I mean,
really? I mean, how many people work at Ubisoft? I'm going to go 3,000-4,000 at a guess. I mean, but what are they doing? Like, they're not making any good games.
So
20.
I know how many employees. This was as of this year. Don't know the exact date. May, 19,000.
Wow. Okay.
Their revenue for 2024. This was predicted. It's 27th of September. Wow. This is 2.3 billion.
That's
their revenue.
Where are they getting their money from? Oh, it's the monetization director. He would have done all of that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, he knows what he's doing.
If you'd asked me at the link up, though, I mean, it's a good game. I would have said X-Defiant. I understand now what you were saying before, that it's struggling now to attract people, but I thought that was a fantastic game.
Yeah,
it was a good game, but it was almost like a flash in the pan, wasn't it? Like there's not much longevity or something to keep me there for playing it for a long period of time, over a long period of time.
When I click on gaming on YouTube, I don't get that flashing up to say what's going on about it or what that's being played. Loads of games are appearing on there, but not that. So
there is the other game, that series they've got, the Crew Motor. They've done the Crew Motor Fest. That could have potential if they try to take some of the Horizon's piece of the pie, the Forza Horizon series.
Forza Horizon, yeah.
So that
in 2019, Ubisoft had 16,000 developers. So no wonder they were churning out games, and they own a bunch of subsidiaries.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. But yeah,
Ubisoft, did that come from Sierra Games? Was that where Ubisoft came from?
Yeah, what they
Sierra wasn't that was SWAT 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sierra was SWAT 4, wasn't it?
So
Sierra Entertainment, Activision.
They're part of Activision.
And Activision Blizzard.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we've talked enough about Ubisoft today because, I'm thoroughly bored of them already. But I like the fact that we bring them up every podcast episode and moan at how shit they are. So, let's move on to something very interesting. Flight Simulator. Yeah. Ubisoft, if you want to sponsor us, we'll quite happily raise your share price to £13 for the entire company. Flight Simulator 2024 has been announced. With an absolutely incredible minimum RAM specification of 64 gig required.
Oh,
yeah, so
60 ladies and gentlemen, 64 gigabyte of memory.
So this I have got
absurd.
I've got the ideal spec.
It's probably going to be my PC, isn't it? It's going to be my PC.
So CPU, Ryzen 9 7900X or 14700K Intel. RTX.
So my 7800X 3D is not good enough.
That's what it's saying. It's not ideal.
Wow.
Wow.
The Ryzen RTX 7900 XT or RTX 4080.
Okay, right, I'm there. I'm okay with the GPU because I got the Super, so we're okay.
64 gig of RAM.
Yep, check.
50 gig on the hard drive.
I got 8 terabytes. We're okay.
And really interestingly, the bandwidth you need to have 100 spare for the game.
Ooh, that's large.
Because the game's incredibly impressive. So it's using Bing Maps and Azure AI. That as you're flying, it's using it to generate. So wherever you fly in the world, it's using that. So you're basically flying in the real world,
yeah.
So it's like flying on Google Earth.
I feel like this needs to be demonstrated next year at the Link Up. On my monitor.
Well, I just found out yours might not be recommended. So
I'm just gonna have to upgrade Vedak. I'm just gonna have to upgrade my system. I mean, I've only bought it very, very recently, but it's already due of upgrade. And Mass, I mean, you're just gonna have to just go all out. You're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait for the 5090, then spec the 5090 with the 14700K.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that we'll be looking at the new GPU range.
Yeah.
Roughly.
So what are you going to need to run this in 4K then?
God.
Quantum computing, ladies and gentlemen.
Either that. But the die-hard enthusiasts on the flight sim, they run it with 3 monitors, so you get full peripheral. Like it has VR support. Can you imagine what this is gonna like? You're gonna need to run it in VR.
You're gonna need 3 towers. You're gonna need 1 for each monitor, and then somehow connect all 3 of them up together somehow, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like I think it was like I remember Flight Sim 95, and I was like, "Oh, this is absolutely incredible!" Like
it's a 5090, isn't it? In SLI.
Yeah, like you did with the Voodoo 2s, exactly.
Oh my god, Voodoo 2s. But I'll quickly go over. The game's coming out in just over a month, mid-November.
Is it going to be on Xbox Games Pass?
I would assume that it's not powerful enough to go on an Xbox.
Oh.
I will.
No. What about PC Games Pass? Well,
I
Xbox Game Pass is
will.
on
It's
PC,
on
wasn't it?
Steam. I'll go over the
If
quick
it's on Xbox Game-
prices.
Yeah, if it's on Xbox Game Pass, I will. When it comes out, I will get it, and I'll see if I can run it.
So standard edition, which is 70 aircraft and 150 airports, is £70.
That's a lot.
Deluxe, which is 80 aircraft and 155 airports, is £100. The premium deluxe edition, 95 aircraft and 160 airports, ends $129.99, and the Aviator edition,
Of course, the Aviator edition.
which is 125 aircraft, 160 airports, is £199. Now, these sound like insanely expensive for games, but for the real enthusiast who will spend £300-400 on their controller, on their flight decks, on all of the other peripherals, it's actually a drop in the ocean.
But Beef, you will be able to use your Xbox controller. It is fully supported. So.
Nice. I need to ask for the Xbox controller for Christmas. That'll be my Christmas present, I think.
Let me see if it's going to be on Xbox.
But it goes back to our argument we've had on recent podcasts, isn't it? Around like the likes of Civ 7 and the different versions, isn't it? And coming back to that argument of, is someone who is not an absolute avid aviation huge nerd, if they're one of us four, are we going to go and pay £200, or are we going to be satisfied with a £70 game,
or not buy it at all,
or not buy it at all?
Good news.
What's the good news, Vedak? Vedak? Devastate.
Wow, okay. That's the first one that's happened. It is on Xbox Game Pass. And on the 19th of November. And also, there is the version for Xbox Series S that it has been optimized. With frame rates up to 120 frames per second. So it's not going to be anywhere near, and it says 4K. It's not going to be anywhere near what you'll get on the PC.
No. I like how they use the term optimized. Basically, what they mean is they've downgraded it so that they can just about work on an Xbox Series S, because that's what most of our fan base is playing on. Essentially, is what they're saying, isn't it?
It'd be interesting. Yes. I think it'll.
I will absolutely give that a whirl, and maybe we'll do that on a little stream as well. See if my PC can run it. Given I've got.
It looks incredible.
Oh yeah, it will. It will do. It'll look unreal. It'll look unreal. So yeah, when that comes, when did you say? Devastate 19th of November.
19th of November will be on Xbox Game Pass. It will be on Steam on the same day. So yes, it is a day one Game Pass release.
So I will play it that week, and then the following week when we do the podcast, the week of the 25th, we'll give you a little review of it, and we'll see if we can do a little stream that week as well. Right, moving on. Vedak, talk to us about Space Marine 2.
What an epic game! I still haven't completed it, but
why haven't you completed it? I mean, I thought you were an accomplished gamer. Like, surely you should have completed it by now.
I don't have the time. I'm making a board game, so I have to put a bit of energy into that.
You were at the restaurant last night. I saw you. You weren't making a board game.
No, not last night.
We were eating pizza last night at the restaurant.
We were indeed. But yeah, no, it's absolutely epic. I mean, there's a screen, particular scene where there must be, 1,000 Tyranids running towards you, and you're like, it's just epic. It really just epic.
So is it what it looks like, or is it the gameplay, or
both? Absolutely fantastic. Really, it plays really well. It's got a good story. The graphics are absolutely immense. Absolutely immense.
What are you running it at? What resolution are you running it on your system?
Well, my monitor's 3440 by 66. 40 is it? It's like Quad HD.
Okay.
And I've got a 3080 Ti. So
Should be acceptably good looking then.
yeah, I've only got Ryzen 5, 2 gig of RAM. There's no flying planes for me.
The speaking of just on that, Amazon sales on at the moment. You can get the
Oh, it's priced.
the 5900 for 170 quid.
What price are we at? 189. No, it was cheaper. It was cheaper in August at 178. It was also 178 is the cheapest it's been. 178 is the cheapest it's been this year. So it's 175 is the cheapest it's been this year. So it's still a pretty good deal overall, but the price hasn't really changed in the last 3 months. So
I don't believe if that's the case. I don't believe that this is an incredible deal. Then, so the Ryzen 9, the 7950 X3D, is down from £931 to 519.
So what is it? The Ryzen 9
7950 X3D, actually the best gaming CPU in the world.
519. Let's have a look. Our survey says no. It was 470 back in September.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was 460 back in July. So one thing you got to look out for on Amazon. It might look like a good deal, but get yourself some software, and it will tell you if it is a good deal. Anyway, we digressed a little bit there. That is the list of topics covered. Was there anything else that anyone else wanted to bring up? I've been watching a lot of the League of Legends World Championships. I won't tell anyone any spoilers in case you haven't seen it, but
is that the O2? Is it?
No, it's in. I don't think it's in the O2. I don't even know where it is, if I'm honest. I'm literally.
I entered a thing at work to win some tickets for League of Legends at the O2. So I just wondered.
But no, honestly, it's absolutely fantastic. Some of the games that I've seen, some of the plays I've seen have been absolutely monumental. Very much been enjoying watching it during eating my lunch every day this week and last week. So make sure you tune into that if League of Legends is your cup of tea. Anything else from anyone else?
Well, we had the first for any of those EAFC fans out there. We had the first weekend league this week. I got to rank 6, which was really annoying. I did want to get a little bit higher, but it was super sweaty. It was hard graft. So I played that Friday and Saturday, and back on the game again this week. It's that game that you have to play so many games in a week, like otherwise you're just behind constantly, and it's just a continual grind.
First world problems there, very much first world problems.
I mean, it's good though. There's some bits of the game I really love compared to last year. Some of it's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. We'll wait and see. And I'll give just one tiny update. So, Football Manager still haven't released any screenshots of what the game's going to look like a month and a half before release.
I mean, incredible. It's exactly what you want as
the game was delayed. They've taken bits out of the game. We still haven't seen anything, and the community's in a bit of a roar at the moment, because you've got an entire community of streamers wanting to stream the game, who rely on the new game. It always comes out in November, so they obviously stream it all over Christmas. They get all the big ad revenue, all the Twitch ad revenue. Yeah. It's the highest in November, December, and it looks like it's going to be delayed. So so it's an interesting time in the Football Manager community. We had the World Cup a couple of weeks ago, which went down a treat, but that was on the old game. So yeah, keeping our eyes peeled on that. And as soon as that game does come out, I will be playing that. Probably on stream as well, maybe. See what people think.
Mass, Vedak, anything else from either of you guys?
Well, good for me.
Nothing for myself.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining and listening and watching. We really appreciate it. Always, we'd love it if you would smash that like button and give us a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. We may have some information or some news around a possible sponsor for the podcast and streams coming to your screens in the next couple of weeks. So that is in progress. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Obviously, it'll be gaming related. We're not going to be having any sponsors who aren't gaming related on this podcast. Well, I think that pretty much sums or brings it to a close, should we say, this week. Thanks everyone for liking and subscribing. If you haven't already subscribed and liked, we would love it if you could. And also from a comment section perspective, if you like something or you don't like something or you want to see more or less of something within the podcast, do let us know in the comments, whether it be on YouTube or wherever else you're seeing us or hearing us. We'd love to get your comments and feedback on the podcast and what you want to see or not see, should we say. That'd be really, really good as well. Devastate, you want to touch on something on Twitch?
Yeah, just to give everyone a quick reminder to go and follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Royal Link Up. We are streaming multiple days a week now. And yeah, jump on, have a chat. I'm going to be live, say, 2 or 3 times a week. Certainly Thursday, Friday, and then some other day over the weekend. So we're doing a lot of streaming and maybe even some more during the course of the week as well. So lots of streaming going on there. So go and give us a follow. Link in the description, as is the link to all of our other social channels. So we are posting, every time we go live, we're posting on X, Twitter. And we've got some other YouTube shorts that come out of some of the stuff that we're also doing. So yeah, give us a little subscribe on YouTube and come follow us on Twitch and hang out with the gang.
Absolutely. And that drills this episode to a close. I am your host and have been your. I've also been your host today, the amazing Sniper Beef. I've been joined alongside by.
Hi guys, thank you very much for joining. I've been Devastate.
And I've been Vedak.
And I've been Masanevre, Tofu.
Thank you
guys.
all.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.